Hey everybody, this is Perch. I want to I'm going to use the douchiest term. By the way, you ever meet these people who have and man, I know I'm going to offend some folks out there, but they use jargon that just it sounds like they're trying to make fetch happen. It's I'm going to double click on that one. It always I'm like, okay, talk like a human being. But I'm going to double click on this topic about are we giving social media too much power in the sense of, why can't we enjoy a good comic without checking to see if the creators are insane on social media? Now, here's where it's really important to, here's where it's very important to hear what I'm saying. Okay, I tried to make these disclaimers, but I noticed from the comments a lot of people went down this trap anyway. Okay, the question that I want to ask is very specific. If a comic is good, legitimately good, like you enjoy it, okay, so picture a comic you enjoy very much. I use Craven's Last Hunt. You could be Watchmen. You could have Civil War if you like that. You could the Doom Patrol run with Grant Morrison. I don't know. What is the comic that you really enjoy? Just think of one. All right. Now imagine that you love this comic, right? Now imagine if you went and let's say in addition to loving this comic, you also voted for Trump. Okay, and you feel good about that decision. It wasn't like A or B, but it's like, no, I like this guy. I like what he stands for. I'm all about Trump. So you voted for Trump. You like, say, Watchmen. All right. Now let's say you go over to social media, and in this fictional world we're creating for ourselves here, let's say Alan Moore. You discover you hadn't looked, but then you discover you go over there, and Alan Moore is multiple times a day talking about how he hates people who vote for Trump, hates them. He wishes they would all just go drown and they would be blasted off into space. All right. So my question for you is simply this, and there's not people are saying I disagree with you, Porch. This isn't a disagreement. This is literally you get to decide. You're not disagreeing with me. It's your choice. Do you suddenly hate Watchmen because Alan Moore is saying crazy things on Twitter? Or do you go, well, I met this one person at a very, very different perspective I've heard before, which was if I like a comic and I learn that the creator is crazy and hates me, I like the comic even more and I get a weird thrill out of telling that creator, I'm reading your comic. This guy you hate is reading your comic. Now, I'm not sure exactly the logic there, but in his mind, this would be a good way to fight that creator or attack them back by letting them know that a abhorrent deplorable is reading their comic, and this would bother them. The weird part is that he's somewhat right. I can tell you from going to comic conventions more than once, I've heard creators talk about people they don't like, whether it's, and for many, many years, by the way, it was deeply religious people. And then suddenly it became about politics. But for many years, it was like, I hate Catholics. And Catholics, I know there's some Catholics that read my book. And every time I see a Catholic person come up for a signing or I hear that a Catholic person likes my book, it just makes me really, really mad. And legitimately, the creator's like, getting really, really frustrated. And it was clearly like gnawing on them. And that was fascinating. Just to have that, that hold over somebody. But regardless, do you suddenly dislike the book because you learn what the creator has done? And this is somewhat of a, separate the art from the artist kind of argument, but it's a little bit different than that. It's more, why if there's a piece of work, and in theory, I'd like to believe, and by the way, I know we'll get to the more modern creators in a moment, but let me just work with me here on this Alan Moore analogy for a few more minutes. If you're creating comic books, that's the end destination for your job. You have a creative idea, you go about your life, you get groceries, you sleep, you screw, you do whatever you're doing in your daily life, and the output, the creation, is your comic. And if you're Alan Moore, this output was Watchmen. It's why he is so hung up on Watchmen. It's why he, is so mad at DC for keeping the rights. It's clearly something important to him. Cool, right? But if that's his most important work, then everything, the social media, the screwing around and all that kind of stuff is less important. But why is it that customers look at his social media stuff and let the whatever crazy rantings are going on there dictate how they view about the work. That seems backwards. And my point in the previous video I made was we're giving social media too much power. We're giving it, we're letting it be more important than the actual comic itself. And the problem is social media is very instant. Social media is somebody gets high and goes on social media and just starts posting all kinds of crazy things. Like Chris Conray was posting about how many pizzas he'd eaten one night. And you're like, what are you doing? There's several creators who show up in a lot of these videos, right? And they post things that make me, at least in my head, go, I kind of want to call some professional help to go, like, I'm worried about you. Tom Brevoort did a very, like, I don't know what the point of living is anymore tweet. And you're like, what are you doing? Why are you saying this? Increasingly, I see people post stuff like, why are they saying that? And the answer is they're tweeting this stuff on the toilet or at a stoplight or in the grocery store or just random little they're not thinking any of this stuff through. Certainly not as much as the comic they produce. So it's weird to me that the tweets and this kind of weird mental vomit that's coming out of their heads gets elevated to be more important than the comic, the comic itself. That's my point. I just to be clear, should creators, and frankly, should everyone be more professional on social media and not say crazy shit? Yes. 100,000 million% yes. No doubt about it. Like it is absolute insanity that people say some of the things they say. And especially for me, it's worse the higher up you go when you see, actual editors, not like the assistant editors, junior editors, but actual editors or management people posting some of the stuff they post. I mean, Joe Quesada at his level with his financial, investment into this business and what people are paying him, seeing some of the stuff he throws out, it's nuts. Like it's absolutely crazy that's happening. But that's the world of social media. Should they be doing this? No. But as a reader, what is your line exactly? I use the example, and a lot of people who are really wanting to disagree with me ignored it. But it's, Craven's Last Hunt. If you discover that Mike Zeck was on there, flaming, let's do it the other way. Let's say you're a proud liberal, you voted for Biden, you hate Trump, you hate all that kind of stuff, and then you go on, but you love Craven's Last Hunt because who wouldn't? It's an amazing comic. And you go online and you see Mike Zeck saying, "I am a Trump voter. I like Trump. I think Biden stole the election." Just whatever. You see that stuff. Would you suddenly not enjoy? Would you suddenly tear up your book? Would you not be able to read that book anymore because you learned that? Well, if you go on social media, lots of people say that all the time. We often think about this in terms of, the right wing is rejecting the left wing, but it's both directions. People are trying to cancel each other constantly over this kind of stuff. And to me, it's bizarre. I mean, today, and again, who knows when this video will be posted, people are all angry at Sylvester Stallone because he joined a golf club that is connected with Trump. And it's like, so I've seen these people like, I'm going to burn my copy of Rambo and Rocky, and I will never watch anything with Stallone again. And it's like, I mean, really? Because in the 80s, when I was a kid, in the 80s, and you'd see these kind of, these book burnings, these protests, somebody would do something, and I'm going to tear up all my copies of this. Like, we consider the people saying that to be lunatics. Like, those are crazy people. Like, you don't get that invested, but now the bar is lowered so much because social media has become so powerful, and the most important thing in the world is social media, that one opinion that does not align with somebody else's opinion in some direction is suddenly I will never read again. No, I reject. It's like it's crazy that it has that much power, more power than decades of work. That's my point. Now to be fair, there is another scenario people brought up, and they're absolutely right. What if the comic is terrible? What if the writing is bad and the work is bad, and then you go on social media and you find that the creator is also a lousy person, ranting and raving and saying crazy stuff? Well, that one's easy. The answer is you don't buy it. You don't buy crap. You don't buy crap, whether or not the person is ranting on social media. Social media is irrelevant at that point. I mean, it's irrelevant to you as a customer. To the company, it's very relevant because if you're Marvel, you might go, hey, your work sucks. And maybe if you didn't tweet 5,000 times a day, your work wouldn't suck. Stop tweeting 5,000 times a day, you bastard, or you're not going to get more work. That very important to the company and to the creator. But as a customer, bad comics is the easiest possible solution. Like, who cares what they're writing on social media? The comic sucks. Don't buy it. That one's easy. I want to meet the person who's like, well, this comic is terrible. But the reason I'm not going to buy it is because the creator is a jerk on social media. It's like, well, wait a minute, the creator was nice. Would you be buying this book? That's crazy. I wouldn't be buying that book. To buy stuff you feel good about. This is where I do believe the customer is king, in the sense that your wallet is your wallet. Only you get to determine what comes out of your wallet. And if you don't like what you're spending, don't. You're not forced to buy anything, nor should you. But I find this, what I'm struck by is that social media seems to be the thing that everything is orbiting around, the creators and many of the customers. And to me, social media is a annoyance, and people do stupid stuff on it. Of all political, of all politics, all persuasions, all groups, people do really dumb stuff on social media. And to me, it's an increasingly smaller factor in what I'm going to read. The crazy part is, for me, most books that I enjoy, most books that I find are quality, good titles, do not have people who are insane on social media. Many of the people who are super, super crazy and saying bizarre stuff are not putting out their best work. Somebody brought out the Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's like, well, he's putting out a bad comic, and his social media presence is terrible. Like, well, you had me at comic was bad, right? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hopefully people try and understand this time. Again, nobody's telling you have to spend your money anywhere. Nobody's telling you that, people should be allowed to run their mouths, say whatever they want on social media for their own good. They shouldn't. But I think social media has been elevated way higher than it needed to be. That's my premise. Anyway, let me know yours. Argue away. Like and subscribe. And thanks for listening.